This video shows how to create a try-by protected application. We'll be using the Quick License tool to configure the trial and product licenses. Then we'll wrap those licenses with the Add License tool around the application to output the protected application. When you launch the protected application, it'll look something like this. You'll see a dialog that has a button where they can start the trial period, maybe 10 days or so, where they'll be able to use the application for a period of time until it expires. There'll be a buy button. If the user clicks that, it'll pop up a web browser and take it to a page where they can actually purchase the application. And there's also, once they've purchased the application, they can click a product button and activate that application. The activation process can occur in a couple of different ways. One possibility is a manual activation process where the user either emails or phones in a request number, which is like the fingerprint of that computer, to the vendor, and the vendor returns back an activation code that uniquely will activate this computer. And then once they're activated, they can forever run the application on that machine, but they won't be able to copy it to other computers. Another alternative is a more automated process where during the purchase process the user will be receiving a serial number, and on first launch they'll enter the serial number into the dialog and click Activate Now, and it will be automatically activated through an online activation server. And then thereafter they'll be able to run the application forever on this computer. Now we'll show how to protect an application start to finish with a freshly installed copy of Quick License and the Add License tool that comes with it. We have an unprotected version of our application in the source folder. So we'll start by launching Quick License, and we see the main window. Let's click the Setup button and designate the folder to where our configured ticket files that define the license will be generated. So at the bottom of the Setup dialog, we're going to click the Pick button and locate that source folder. Here we see the source folder, and we can see our unprotected applications already in that folder. So we've got the path to the ticket folder right now. We'll click OK, and let's go ahead and configure our product ticket. We'll start in the product column and give the base name of the ticket file. We'll just call it product. And we'll give it a version number and a security code. Those two pieces of information will be significant later, as we'll see. In the very first license column, we'll click that and also give it whatever name we want. In this case, it just identifies that record of information. We'll just call it product as well. We'll designate this as a master ticket of new records. It will be a perpetual license that will never time out. It'll allow reactivation, so once activated, the user can uninstall and reinstall and activate again on that same computer if they'd like. We'll probably have it set up so it maintains a hot backup of the license, so if anything ever goes wrong, the user accidentally deletes the license file, they can just click a button and automatically recover once it's been activated. Okay, so that's some of the basic things we'll set up. There's a lot of other options as well, but those aren't really directly required for the demonstration we're going to be doing here. So let's go to the activation panel now, and we'll select it to be activation required. We're going to do a machine calculated activation, and there's an activation calculation that determines how the request number shown in the end user's dialog gets converted into an activation code that uniquely works on that computer. So that's all we really need to set up on the activation panel. One last thing is we'll set up reset enabled on the reset panel. That just enables the possibility of doing a manual reset of that license if we would need to in the future. So we've got everything configured, and we can now generate a ticket file that defines all the information within this license. We would do that by just clicking the Make Ticket button, and it generates the ticket file to our ticket folder that we designated earlier, and it will lock all the information so we don't make any accidental changes, because we're done now with that configured license. If we need to make some changes, we can do so later by just unlocking the checkbox here. So let's do the same thing now to create a trial ticket. So again, we'll go into the next row in the main Quick License window. We'll click the product column there and give the base name of the ticket. We'll call it trial in this case. We'll give it a version number, a security code, and we'll click on the license column, and we'll call this one trial. Again, it's a master ticket, In this case, it will time out because it's going to be a time-limited license, and we're not going to allow reactivation because we don't want the user to be able to use the trial until it expires and then install and reactivate again over and over again. So we'll leave those unchecked. We'll go to the activation panel, select activation required. Now, there's various ways of doing the activation process. One possibility is just to auto-activate on first launch. We can do that by leaving the general option selected and putting the word no dialog in. What that means is on first launch it'll just auto-activate the trial license, and that license will let it be good for 10 days and then it'll expire. So the last thing we're going to do is on the reset panel we'll select reset enabled and go back to the ticket panel, and we can make that ticket file. We've now completed both the product ticket and the trial ticket, and we're ready to apply it to our application. Within our source folder, we can see the unprotected application and the product and trial licenses that we've configured. We're going to use the Add License tool now to select a brand new empty record. We'll just call it Hello Try Buy. We'll select that as our default record, and we're going to select the application we want to protect. So we'll go to our source folder and select that application. We'll select the product ticket that defines the product license there, and it will automatically put in the base name of the ticket into the ticket name field, and those two bits of information we configured in the main quick license window, the version number and the security code. We'll type those in ourselves. And we're going to have this protected application generated to an output folder. So we'll select that output folder now. We'll just go directly to the Try Buy protected folder there. And finally, we're going to click the Try Buy button and add a trial license as well. So let's first provide a URL where the buy button will take the user where they can purchase the application. So type whatever you want to here. And we'll click the application we want to protect. In this case, we're going to have the same application used for both the trial process and the product, but we could have a stripped down version of the application for evaluation purposes if we'd like, and it would all be bound and compiled into the same executable. But we'll go ahead and just select the same application, and we'll now click the select the trial license, and again it gives the ticket name field filled in for us, and we'll type in the version and security code that we defined back in Quick License. Everything's now set up, so we'll click the Build Protected Application to generate the protected version of our application that has both the product and trial licenses wrapped around it. Here we see the protected application that we've generated, and we can rename it to whatever we want. When we launch that application, it will present the Try Buy dialog we expect, and if we decide to start the evaluation process, we could click the Try button and it will auto-activate and begin the 10-day period. Each launch, again, the Try Buy dialog is presented, and we can continue the evaluation period if we'd like, the evaluation process up to that 10 days, until at which time it will expire. We'll get an error message when we click the Try button. If we decide to purchase the application, we click the Buy button and it takes us to a website where we can purchase the application. And if we decide once we've purchased we can activate the product, we'll click the Product button and a dialog will be presented, and it will show a request number that can be provided to the vendor with an email message or over the phone in some manner, and that request number can be used to return back an activation code to activate the license. This process, as mentioned earlier in the video, can be fully automated through an online activation server where the user will just enter a serial number that they received at the time of purchase. We'll now see how you can use Quick License to generate an activation code to activate an application. So we'll launch Quick License and click on the license column of the row used to configure the ticket. We'll go to the activation panel and put the request number from the end user's computer into the field and click the activation button. Here we see the activation code that worked for that request number. So we'll close out of Quick License now and go to the activation dialog on whatever computer needs to be activated there and put the activation code in, click Activate Now. We see our protected application is now running. If we quit the protected application and launch it again, it just automatically starts running. We'll never see the try by dialog again.